What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Yanks to the Cop. I am Scans. We are joined by Homie and, as always, our recurring guest, Sophie. How you guys doing today?
Not bad. Can't complain.
Yeah, I'm doing well. Waiting for football to come back.
Yeah, we needed a little break. I think Liverpool needed a little bit of a break, but we're ready to get back into it. Big match this weekend against Leicester City. How you guys feeling going into that one?
Go on, homie. You go first. I'll be nice.
Normally I'm quite positive, but I'm actually feeling apprehensive because of the run we're in. Like it is. I'm just worried because the players look unconfident. Obviously, Klopp, had that big heartache with his mum passing away, which is really sad. And I think it's just tense, and everyone at the club is feeling the pressure and low in confidence. And so, although Leicester aren't in great form themselves, I don't know. Like, I think I'm 50-50 between a draw and a win for us.
Yeah.
When was the last time that happened?
God knows. I don't know. I don't really ever fear Leicester. That's the thing. Like every time we play them and our fixtures come up with them, I see people on timeline having a meltdown about Leicester and how Leicester are so good and they're going to beat us, and then we absolutely put them to the wall. And I don't know. I'm never worried about them. And even with our current form, part of me just kind of feels that with the news that we've had, obviously, about Klopp, the boys will have known about that previously. And right. I think now that it's public knowledge, the boys are just going to come out and just absolutely go for it, just, for Klopp. That's personally, with the mentality the team's brought, that's what I'd expect. Whether it happens is something else completely.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in your boat, Sophie. I mean, just looking at their results this season, they didn't start off the season very well. I mean, they had one big result. They beat Man City 5-2, but they lost to Arsenal, they lost to United, they lost to us. Obviously, they lost to Fulham. But now, what's that?
We lost to Leeds 3-1.
They lost to Leeds, and now they've kind of turned it around at the start of the new year. They've beaten Chelsea, they've beaten Southampton. So I mean, they're winning some of the games that they should be winning. But I'm with you. I still don't fear them at all. I mean, I guess my question to you guys is, if you're Brendan Rodgers, do you change anything? I mean, clearly they've lost the past 3 or 4 times to us, I believe. I mean, do you change the lineup? Do you change the formation? Do you maybe go in a more defensive route? I mean, we know that Rodgers likes to attack, but clearly it doesn't work against Liverpool.
See, but that's the thing. It has been recently.
Well, not for Leicester, though. Not for Leicester.
It's been working. But any team at the minute who's come up against us, if they've attacked anywhere near us, we've gone to shit. We've just panicked and gone backwards again. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know whether Rodgers will play it safe in the sense that he'll go, right, let's just play it as we always have. Let's get those quick vertical passes in the final third. Let's completely throw, then makeshift defence and go for it. Or is Rodgers going to go, well, actually, hang on, they might be expecting us to do that. Why don't we put up a low block like every fucker else does?
Yeah, seriously. I mean, just referencing Chris Welch's question. Steven's not in the basement. He's on a work call. He might be joining us later. But to downtown.
I killed Steve so I could get back on the show. If that's what happens.
Maybe he is in the basement. But Downtown Abbey said Leicester haven't beaten us since they won the league in 2016. The one thing I'll say to that is we hadn't lost at Anfield in 2 to 3 years, and all of a sudden that just happened. So this is a weird season. Nothing's out of the realm of possibilities at the moment.
Can I just ask, are either of you actually asked about that Anfield record going? Because I feel like I'm one of the only people who's genuinely not asked. Like,
I think it's a blessing.
A record at Anfield like that doesn't win trophies.
Yeah, I think it's a blessing in a way, because I think the players were more concerned with keeping that record than sometimes going for it in games. So that's why we played for draws and certain times. So I think, obviously, it's disappointing to lose to teams we lost it to, but I think it could be like a relief for us to then go on another run at home at Anfield, knowing that we need to buck up.
I'm actually not surprised that it happened either, because I thought it was going to happen this year because we weren't going to have fans in the stands. If we had fans in the stands, I would have been very surprised if we lost again, especially to Burnley. That's the big thing for me. We lost to Burnley.
Like, if we had fans in our stadium and we had our full fifth team, this league would be well and truly wrapped up. We'd have had it in the bag weeks ago. But it's a poor season for everybody, to be honest. It's not just Liverpool. Everyone's having a really shitty season. But
if you're looking at Leicester right now, they're sitting third in the table. And like I said, they've been doing pretty well recently, minus that loss to Leeds. But I mean, well, homie, let's go to you real quick. What do you think? Have they impressed you this season, or is it just kind of the same old Leicester, different story?
I was just going on what you were saying before. I think when we played Rodgers' teams, Leicester, they've normally set up to try and so when we beat them 4-0 away on Boxing Day last year, they tried to dominate the midfield centre, and they allowed us to have the dominate open in the flanks, and we destroyed them. Trent and Rob were destroying the flanks.
Yeah.
When we beat them 2-1 as well, again, Rodgers has done weird stuff where he's tried to stop us rather than focus on playing to their strengths. I remember he had Maddison in the wing once, and I was like, "Why are you playing Maddison in the wing? Because you're just trying to stop us." So I think with Leicester,
the dog's barking.
No worries.
I think with Leicester they have impressed me this season because I thought after last year when they catapulted, after we beat them on Boxing Day, I think they lost 20 points.
Yeah.
But they bounced back this year. I mean, they've got in some good players like Fahana, his name. I think he's a really good centre back. And obviously Tillman's done really well this year. Maddison's done well, and they've also had injuries to Pereira.
Artie's been off and on too.
Yeah, so I think they've done really well to where they are. So they have impressed me. They do. I know they've lost games, but they have had good performances when they beat Chelsea, they beat City. So they are a good team. And Rodgers does. He has rebuilt his career. Obviously he was scarred by what happened at Liverpool. But now you have to rate him as as a good. Some people still call him a fraud, but you have to rate him as a good manager. I still think they have the bottle job in them because I still feel that they will, at times, bottle it when the pressure's on. But I have to say, Leicester have played well this year, even though they've had some unpredictable. I mean, they haven't won in the last 4 games. They've won once the last 4 games, but I still think, we have to give Leicester their credit because they do deserve to be third. Because
Yeah, I agree. I feel like I just don't think they're deep enough yet. If Vardy goes out or Maddison goes out, they're in real trouble. I mean, Sophie, what do you think?
Do you know what? I think the same way that we rely heavily on our key players, they rely heavily on Vardy and Maddison, and if they lose them, I think it would massively impact them. Can you seriously look at the Leicester team and point out anybody who's a standout player apart from them too?
Maybe Didi.
Who I've liked recently is Justin. He was outside back, but he's a makeshift center back now too. Does a little bit of both. He's really impressed me this season.
Harry Barnes has done well.
Barnes has done well.
I don't know whether it's just me or just the quality of this season is making the most average of players look brilliant. And
I can see that.
And I'm looking at these players and I'm going, you're playing really well this season so far, but let's go back into a normal season with the fans and everything. And are you going to be doing all this? No, I think for a lot of players who are mediocre, the pressure's massively taken off them this season. But for the players who thrive on that, that tension and that anxiety of the game, it's not there for them. And I just think it's making, like I said, weaker players look better.
I will say I am a little impressed that they are in third place. I'll also say that I think once Europa League comes back, I mean, they're still in it, right?
Yeah.
I think they could be in trouble. I think that they'll drop some points just because playing on a Thursday, and I think the same thing for Man United. Playing on a Thursday is tough to come back to England and try to play a game on Saturday or Sunday.
Works for us then.
Yeah, I think it is. I do think they'll drop points. I don't think Leicester will finish third. I think they will bottle it as they always do. Because it's just the innate. It's just Rodgers' DNA. He always bottles it. So, but I just fair play to them for being third. But any day, obviously we're a much better team than Leicester. the 3-0 scoreline at Anfield showed it. We actually outclassed them at Anfield. So, and we were missing key players. So, you know, we know obviously we play to our best ability. We're better than Leicester. It's just if we turn up, that's the thing.
That's our game to lose, isn't it? At the end of the day, like, you know, no one's going into this game at the point with the way Liverpool are on form lately. I think it was, you know, it was Roy Keane, wasn't it, who said that Liverpool are just not the same now, and like had a big blowout at us about how we just weren't the same and how we weren't like proper defending champions. And I just think everyone's kind of writing us off. And although we are the better team, recently our form is saying otherwise. So it's our game to lose. Like, if we go in and we lose it, what's the worst that's going to happen? You know, when we've already lost the title, we're not going to retain it this season. You know, focus on, you know, top 4 now. But I think if you take, I don't know. I just think it's our game to lose. To be honest, like
I think, yeah, I agree. I think if we lose this game, I'm not saying that we're going to, but if we lose this game, it could just be like a downward spiral. Like, a game that we normally win, you know.
Don't say that.
Hit rock bottom. Then I'll be really concerned about top 4. Then I'll be really concerned.
I don't want us to play Thursday night football.
I think a lot of people are panicking now. The fact that it's been confirmed that we're not going to win the league, like, you know, and like, you know, barring some absolute miracle, we are not winning the league this year. And I think a lot of people have just kind of gone, oh, now it's so difficult to get top 4. Well, no, because the difference in points in the top 4 is about, what, 3, 4, 5 points at most between, like, you win 2 games, they lose or draw 2, and, you know, you're in top 4. It's so tight this season because it's like one of the lowest scoring league seasons we've had for a long time.
Yeah.
My nightmare will be Everton finishing above us. I don't want them finishing above us.
That will never happen.
Hey, don't say that. What I said was bad. What you just said was much worse. Wait, I just want to go off on a tangent real quick. Chris Welch is addressing something here. What's with this Gerrard versus Modric debate? There's only one winner. Reds Gerrard carried us, Modric around world-class players. Completely agree. And for me, that's the same thing as like Lampard versus Gerrard. I mean, Lampard was around Chelsea when they were at their peak. You know, he had world-class players all around him, made him look a lot better. He didn't have to run nearly as much. That's why they call him Fat Frank. But Stevie G is in a world of its own. Okay, Stevie G's in a world of his own. If he went to Real Madrid or Chelsea or whatever, he would have won everything. So get out of this debate. This is bullshit.
I agree with that.
Sorry, just going off that, the biggest thing that pisses me off when you compare Stevie to anybody is they always compare them to these players who were in big teams with titles already won. And it's like, Stevie remained loyal to our club until the very end. Like, he stayed. He could have gone at his peak, like you've just said, and he could have been phenomenal, you know, elsewhere. But he was phenomenal in a very weak team. Yeah. And it's just like, there's no comparison between the two. It's like comparing, you know, apples and oranges. No, they're both fruit, but that's about it.
You know what? He reminds me of Totti reminds me of Gerrard a little bit, just because he stayed with Roma for his whole career. And although he didn't win nearly as much as Stevie did, I mean, I don't think he got a sniff at the Champions League or did he win a Serie A title? I don't think he did.
He won Serie A.
Did he?
Yeah, he won Serie A, yeah. But he didn't win anything in the Champions. They never won the Champions League.
But still, he could have gone anywhere, and he remained loyal to Roma. So, cool stories. But let's get back to the Leicester game. I mean, they're kind of in a similar boat to what we are, and you know they haven't won. They've only won one of their last 4 games. So, I mean, will this give the Reds confidence going into this game, or is it just another game?
Well, I think obviously when they've drawn those games. Only Vardy just came back in the last game. He was injured. So I think that obviously played a part in them not winning games.
Who was that?
Vardy. He only came back from injury in the last match. He loves to go against us. Let's be real. Like, although he didn't score at Anfield or really last year away, normally he doesn't love a goal. He has a good record against us. So that obviously will be an interesting battle, how we pick up Vardy. But I still think Leicester, obviously, the pressure of the top 4 will weigh on them. So I think this, even though they're not in the great run of form, I think it's a good time to play them still, because we need another big match, to be honest, to shake us. And the fact it's away, I think it's going to be much more better for us than if it was at home.
Yeah.
Sophie, what do you think?
For once, I actually completely agree with what my homie said. Like, I think hell's just frozen over, but I don't think I disagree with
Oh my god, that's a hot take.
That's a hot take, yay! But no, he's completely right. Like, genuinely, I've got nothing to add to that, to be honest, because I actually agree with him. Fucking hell.
She's speechless.
I am, because I'm listening to you and I'm going, yeah. And I'm waiting for you to say something. I go, no, I disagree with that. No, didn't happen. Never mind.
Well, let me ask you this. JG just said defense need to be big to allow midfield forwards open up front four finally. Late, I know. Sorry, no worries, man. So do you play our two new center backs in this game, or do you stick Fabinho in there still with Kabak? Do you still play Hendo and Kabak, Hendo and Fabinho? What do you guys do?
Go on, my homie. Let's see if I disagree now.
You might disagree now. So I tweeted earlier today, and I think it caused a lot of stirring. I said today, this Saturday, I'm throwing Davies and Kabak in, and I'm putting Fabinho and Hendo and Thiago up top midfield. You know, I'm doing that. Huh?
You're throwing both of them in.
Yeah, I'm throwing them in. They've had a week. They've had eight days worth of training, full training, 8 days now. Yeah. So that's enough to learn how we play. Well, to understand the tactics. I'm throwing them in. I think we need to save our season. I want Fabinho and Hendo back in the field. You know, and whether it's Junior, Thiago, whichever one it is, but I want them back in the field. I can see Sophie burst into disagree.
Before you go, Sophie, well, homie, starting Davies against Vardy could be very, very risky. I mean, he's a championship level player. He's going to take some time to get used to the Premier League. You're just going to throw him in against Jamie Vardy?
He's going to have Alisson behind him.
That's not saying much recently.
Yeah, but Alisson has uncharacteristic mistakes, but he's going to have Alisson behind him. He'll have Henderson in front of him, and he'll have Fabinho in front of him. I don't think it's going to be any worse than playing Hendo and Fabinho back there. We've already seen that 2 games now. We've lost games with them back there. Even though it wasn't their fault, we've lost games. You know, so I don't think it's going to be any different to them two. It can't get any more worse. The way I'm seeing it is, it can't get any much worse than how we've had before with Hendo and Fabinho. We've lost anyhow with them. So if you lose with Kabak and Davis, what's the difference? You know, or if you don't want to put Davis in, put Kabak and Phillips. I just want Fabinho and Henderson midfield. So we need to save our midfield. We need to save our season.
Phillips is a good nod. All right, go ahead.
No! I was dead good then. I stayed dead quiet. No, are you stupid? You cannot throw them both in at Leicester. Vardy will make, regardless of whether he's back from injury or not, he will make mincemeat of those two boys. One has never played in the Champions League. Another is from, what league was he from? He was French, wasn't he? So, no, hang on, Kabak. Sorry, I was thinking of the one. You can't throw them in, and you're saying, you've got 8 days of training. Well, how long did it take Fabinho before he got played? 3 months. 3 months before Klopp trusted him in his system. Our system is so complex when you think about what Klopp wants him to do, the work rate, the pressure. He's come from a German league, which we know is a slower league. Has he got the physicality to cope with our things? Has he got the physicality to cope with Vardy? Has he got the ability to go a full 90 minutes with a Liverpool defense and back line?
So what's your solution?
Has he got that? I'm not entirely convinced, but I do think we should play one of them. I do think, ideally, in an ideal world, I'd like Phillips and Kabak to start and put our Fab and Hendo back in midfield, because Wahome said, I do agree with it. We do need them back in midfield to salvage the season. We miss them terribly. And every time Fab goes on a little bit of a run in the midfield, I get dead happy and I'm like, yay, he's back. But you can't put both of them in midfield. They will get railroaded. We will concede within the first half an hour. If that happens, 1-2 goals, they'll make a sloppy mistake. Ben Davies, he's very good distribution, very good skills, good kid, but not Premier League, not against Leicester.
Yeah.
No, a team that are known for their very high line and their intense attack. Like I said before, their Brendan Rodgers thing with Leicester is run right up, sideways pass, confuse the defence. You want to put them in... No.
Yeah, for me, it's just I would actually probably play Fabinho back there. Phillips, I think he's a great player. Just hear me out. We need a general back there. And Fabinho can at least organize. He still doesn't talk as much as I would like him to, but he can at least organize the defense. I think Kabak has to play. His talent is way too high to not play. But to throw in Davies or Phillips, I think Phillips is kind of like a wild card. He's very aggressive. He can go out of position here and there. He needs somebody to reel him back in. And I think that Fabinho could be that guy for Kabak at least. And, Trent doesn't talk that much. Robertson doesn't talk that much.
I'll counteract that and say that Kabak's been – when we signed Kabak, they said that he's a captain material and that he's very vocal in leadership. So if he's a captain material very leadership, he might not need Fabinho next to him.
Yeah, but for a new team, he's been here for a week. I don't know if he's going to be displaying that much leadership out on the pitch right away.
But do you not think that if Fabinho's in the midfield, Fabinho always sits back anyway. He's always like the little defender in front of the defenders. That's his role. He's not afraid, even when Virgil's there and Gomez is there, he's not afraid to turn around and shout at them, like ever. And you see it in the game. He turns around, he throws his hands up, he throws a tantrum. But I think if you put Nat Phillips, who is seasoned, he's trained with our club, even before his appearances, he knows our tactics. He's like a staple. Like, he'd be okay. Then you've got Kabak next to him, who is a very good leadership quality, will feel comfortable. And then you've got Fabinho in front. He'd be like the little support. And then you've got Alisson behind. I think you've got enough support around him for that back line. And then, like I said, I know Robbo and Trent don't talk very much, but you've still got a bit more of a solid unit, and you've got two actual centre-backs playing centre-back.
Yeah, but you need generals that can hold the line. Leicester just love to switch. They're always looking for Vardy on the through ball. You need somebody who can hold it together, and I don't think Phillips is that guy. And a 20-year-old Kabak coming from the Bundesliga in his first game after a week with a new team, I don't know. Klopp didn't take a risk against Man City, and he paid the price for it, in my opinion. I think putting both new center backs in together or Phillips would be an even bigger risk, and I don't think he's going to take that risk. I think he's going to stay safe with Fabinho in there, put Kabak in there with him to acclimate him to the Premier League, and then he's going to put Henderson as a 6 or Gini as a 6 and use Thiago and Henderson in the midfield.
No, I do think he is going to put Fabinho there. Like, it's going to make more sense. He's not going to release control that much. But in an ideal world, Fabinho wouldn't be in there. You've bought two centre-backs. But what has Phillips really done wrong?
He hasn't done much wrong, but he's always had a general next to him.
That's what I don't understand. And I see it all the time, and it drives me up the wall. He gets all this negativity of, Phillips isn't good enough. But when he plays, he doesn't put a foot wrong. Like, what more do you want? Yeah, shut up! You wanted a secure centre-back. You've got one. Oh, it wasn't Wahombi I told to shut up this time. Well done, me. Fucking hell.
Oh, Christ.
I agree. I personally would. I agree. He ain't gonna do that risk. He ain't gonna take the risk. He will play Fabinho and Kabak. That'll probably be the lineup. But I just feel that we've got nothing to lose right now. I just feel we've got nothing to lose now. Really. Yeah, I agree. So for me, I just think we might just go for it. Otherwise, I'd rather he put Kabak and Phillips, to be honest, and just went for it because we've got nothing to lose.
No.
Because but I don't think he will do that. I don't think he will take any risks. All I'm saying is for this, I'll be pissed if we see Henderson and Fabinho at centre back this Saturday. I'll be pissed.
Yeah.
If one of Kabak or Davis is not starting, I'll be pissed. I'll be pissed because there's no excuse after weeks training that one of them. Yeah, I'll be pissed.
Yeah.
If he starts those two lads, knowing how desperately our midfield needs them,
Twitter's gonna explode.
I will explode. I will punch someone. I don't care. You've got three centre backs now. You went from having none. We all understood, and we all agreed, and all appreciated the fact that Fabinho had to go into midfield. Then Matip got injured, and we all appreciated that Hendo had to go back into midfield, and they've done a stellar job for what they are as midfielders. They've done a brilliant job. You can't take that away from them, but how long can you keep that going when you've got three centre backs sat there going, I want to play? Like, how can you How can you justify that and sacrificing your midfield and having a knock-on effect on your front three who have been so off form because of the knock-on effect?
Well, let's look at that. I mean, Downturn Abbey just said we have nothing to lose by starting the new guys, especially if it gets Hendo back in the midfield. Well, homie, that's basically what you just said. But last episode, well, homie, you actually kind of hinted that you would rather have Henderson as the center back and Fabinho in the midfield. So if Klopp did choose to go with one of those two guys as a center back and the other in midfield, would you go with what you said last episode? Would you go with Fabinho rather than Henderson?
Yeah, I'd still stick with that. I still would. The reason why I say that is because I think between the two of them, between Fabinho and Hendo, I think Fabinho is much more better at breaking up. You saw that penalty he gave away against Man City was a midfielder's tackle, And I think in midfield he gets away with that. And I think he's just better in terms of breaking up play, stopping attacks. He does what Fernandinho does at Man City when he was so good at winning tactical fouls in midfield. And I think we missed that kind of shithousery in midfield. And plus, he's very good at playing the ball forward. I think he's one of the best since he's been at the club in terms of progressive passes into the final third opposition half. And I think Hendo would be good if you're bringing a cab out there to give him that leadership and that barking orders, if you were going to do that. But I don't think Klopp would do that. I think it obviously would be Fabinho at centre back, Hendo. But I'll just throwing up a wild card.
No, I don't know what's going on. There must be something in the water, but I actually agree with you again. Jesus. I do though. It makes so much logical sense to put Fabinho back in midfield. Like you said, it was a midfielder's tackle on that penalty. That wouldn't a defender wouldn't have done that. You would never see Virgil or Gomez doing that ever. But in midfield, like you said, he gets away with it. He gets a little bit of a yellow and he goes whatever. He's not bothered. But I think Klopp will put Fabinho in centre back because if he does put one of them in there, it'll be him because he's the most centre back natural position of the midfielders. But I'm just thinking, please put Hendo back there because he, like you said, homie, he's just like that glue for that back line, that leadership quality, and then Fabinho can do his thing in the midfield, which we really miss, and the link up with him and Thiago. Oh, that would be good. That would be really good. But I don't think he'll do it, but I'd very much like him to do it.
Well, yeah, I mean, he could be that general I was just talking about. But Chris Welch from the chat said I would start Davies against teams in the bottom half of the table. I mean, I completely agree with that. 100% agree with that. That's the game that he should play in, is a game. Just get him acclimated to the Premier League. That's what needs to happen. And Henry says Davey and Millie will start.
Oh, piss off.
Oh, man. God, the uproar if that ever happened.
Imagine putting milk.
JG says, you're agreeing so much since why we have UK weather.
I'm sorry, I'm sure Wahomey will say something that I'll disagree with in a minute. I'm sure he'll say something.
Well, what do you guys think about, speaking of Thiago, how do you think he's played since he's come in? I know last game, Wahomey, you and I were in agreement that he had a poor game last game.
Poor. I think that's more to do with the fact that he's played a lot of games since he came back from injury. I think he's played in every single game since he came back from injury. And then I think also he's not, obviously, he was poor against Man City. I'm not like he looked off the pace for that game. But I think that's just games catching up with him. But I think we've not played in a position we wanted to play him in really since he signed. Obviously, we envisioned to have Fabinho and Hendo behind him, and then him playing. So he's had to do a lot more defending than he would have been accustomed to, and even more than he was doing at Bayern. So he's always having to do like a lot of running back, like track back to cover Trent, and I don't think that's his game. He does a lot. He's really good defensively, but I don't think it's his game to have to do the tactical running back. I think that's why for the penalty one, if that was Hendo, he covers Trent, and then we don't give away that penalty. Thiago was so slow coming back, but I don't think he's used to having to do that kind of running back. I don't know. I think I heard he wasn't in training today. Someone tweeted. I'm not sure that's 100%, but I saw someone say he wasn't in training. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's 100%, but I think like we're not going to see the best of Thiago till next season.
No.
When Fabinho and Hendo back in midfield. And I think we'll probably see a better Thiago than Champions League because he won't have to do. It's different than Champions League.
Charles back. Sorry.
Yeah. Like, yeah, Dave's right.
The quadruple's done. He's saying the double.
He's off that really quick, hasn't he?
Well, just going back to Thiago real quick, though.
Dave's right, since that Thiago's playing that position.
Yeah, Dave. Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, so that's what I was about to say. You know, he just looks slightly off the pace when he's trying to defend. I think that's why he's gotten so many yellow cards. He's always lunging in to tackle late, and then he ends up picking up a card. You know, Sophie, what do you think of Thiago?
Yeah, I love Thiago. Like, when I see him play, you see those little glimmers, those little moments where you see what he brings to our team and what, like, what Homie says, next season when we see him at his best, you see those snippets and it's amazing watching him. His passing, like his vision on the pitch is part, like, you can't compare it. But I do think he's not quite where we expect them. And that's part and parcel with the injury list that we've had and the fact that he is playing a deeper role. Like we said, we would have preferred to have had, you know, Hendo and Fabinho behind him and him playing a bit more up front, allowing Bobby to move up front a bit more. But he just looks tired. And I know he's a world-class player. I know he's an amazing player, and I'm not going to take that away from him. He is very, very, very fit. But I'll always say the German league's completely different. Like, look at Naby. He's still struggling with the fitness. Like, Thiago's not like that, obviously, but you watch him the last few games, last 2-3 games, and you see he's a bit sluggish. You know, his tracking back is a bit slow, and part and parcel of me thinks, is that just getting back from the injury because it was gone so long? Is that him struggling to find a way in the team? Is that I don't know, but I don't think we're seeing the best of Thiago as what we expected and what will come eventually.
I think the Champions League will suit him more this season. When we start that, he was, because it's a slow in the Champions League, and it's less low block, and I think that we'll see him more there. But yeah, I think our best of Thiago is when he played in the 8 role. I think West Ham. We've not really been able to really play him there since. So until we get him back in that role, I don't think we're going to see the best of him.
To be honest, I think even when we get Thiago back in that role, we're not going to see the best of any of the new players until our full team's back.
Yeah.
And everybody knows how much I love Virgil, and I adore that man. But I do think he's not. Oh, fuck's sake! Hi, Paul. I just know that it's not going to be the same until Virgil's back in that back line. It's not going to be a solid defensive line and everything. And I say it every time, every week, every game. It's a domino effect. It's just going to go on and on and on until our boys are back. We're not going to see the best Jota. We're not going to see the best Salah, Mane, and we're not going to see the best Thiago either. And you can put him back in that 8 role, and he'll excel in some games, and in others he'll falter. And it's because that cohesion's not there. That unit around him that he requires to be the best, and the reason we signed him, that unit's not there. So I just think Thiago will play very good games for us, and he will massively impact our Champions League. You know, he will be very influential in that because he is a seasoned Champions League player. You know, he's won it with Bayern. But I don't think we're going to see the best of him, regardless of what position we put him in, until next season.
Well, hopefully he'll have some good games left in him for the rest of this season. But I mean, how important is a win against Leicester? Just going back to this game for the battle of the top 4. I mean, obviously that game against City, that loss against City, definitely hurt us. I just hope it doesn't affect the confidence of the boys, which is already at an all-time low. But how important is a win in this one?
A win's always important. You know, especially the fact that we have lost the league this year. Every point counts. You know, it's not going to make any difference whether if we lose this or draw it, it's going to make a massive impact on our season. And I just think every game has to be a winner mentality. You have to go into every single game for the rest of this season going, if we lose this game, we're done. Because if you don't go in with that mentality, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I'm sorry, but our boys have really got to push and they've really got to fight this season. And, you know, a laissez-faire, you know, the way we were at the end of last season, it was like, we'll just turn up and see what happens. We normally scrape a win. We haven't got that 2-1 look at this season. You know, we had 2-1 luck. That we were 2-1 FC. That's all we scored. we ground out results, and it's not happening this season. So you've got to go in with that. What's to lose? Go in, absolutely all guns blazing. Show Leicester exactly why they're fearful of us, and what's the worst that can happen if you go all out? What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, well, homie, in our next 3 games, we have Leicester, Leipzig, and Everton. I mean, we got to get a win here and just keep that momentum going, 1 game at a time, right?
Yeah, I think I echo what Sophie's saying. I think it's like I'm just looking at.
This is weird. This is really weird. This is like the Twilight Zone.
Well,
maybe
I think it's like
that normally makes us argue.
I was just looking at thinking like we have to win because Chelsea are a point behind us, and they seem to be going like on a mini short run. West Ham are a point behind us. If they've got an easy game this weekend, I think they've got Fulham. They'll win that. Even Everton have got an easy game. So, and Everton got 2 games in hand with us. We have to win tomorrow on Saturday. Because
2 games in hand too.
Yes, because it's tight. And win will give us huge confidence going into Leipzig and Everton games. A draw would be catastrophic, or even a defeat would be catastrophic. It'd be bad. So we got to get some kind of confidence from somewhere, and this is why I think like after last week for Alisson, I think playing a big game away to Leicester is big for him because he's got the mentality to bounce back. So I think this is the kind of game that he needs straight away, like a big match where he can be tested against Vardy and he can bounce back and recover from it. So, but we have to win somehow. Somehow Klopp needs to galvanize the boys and say, look, we need to get a win. We need to get 3 points here. Doesn't matter how we do it, whether it's a 1-0 scrape or whether it's a 2-0 win. I don't care. We just have to get the 3 points because we need some kind of confidence. I'm
just gonna say it's so strange because ever since the West Ham game, when we saw that game, a lot of us were like, "Oh, this is a glimmer of hope. They've gotten their confidence back. They're going to turn around. We're going to face City. We're going to beat City. Blah blah blah." Ever since that game, it's kind of gone wrong. Robertson, I don't think has played a good game since Christmas. Trent has been hot and cold pretty much all season. Thiago hasn't reached his heights. Mane, Firmino, same thing. I mean, what's going on with them? Like, what are the reasons why we're underperforming?
I think it's tiredness. Like Robertson's played a lot of football, and it's only since last game like Tsimikas came on, gave him like even a short bit of respite. Otherwise, he's running on probably empty. He's not had a rest. I think for quite a few of them, they've not really had a chance for rest. In terms of being able to take a breather, and I don't think we're in a position now to even do that. You'd want to be able to throw Tsimikas in a game, but with those 3 big games you just mentioned, do you really play many of those 3 games with him just coming back from injury?
Probably
You're going to want to have to play Robertson and hope that he can just continue pushing forward. And I think obviously, without Jota, we've not been able to rest really Salah, Bobby Firmino, or Mane. So, and even with Jota back, I don't think he's going to be fit for this game against Leicester, even if he's back in full training.
Is he back in full training now?
Well, they said he's back in full training. I think I saw someone saying today.
He won't be ready for Saturday.
I saw pictures of him and Naby training together, but I don't know if he's in full training yet.
Yeah, so I don't think he's going back for this. I don't expect him to be back for this weekend. So we're having to push players into the red, really, to get them through, and obviously that's not ideal because it's making them tired, and obviously they're less confident. Like a lot of our players are taking less risks because of the lack of confidence. You're not seeing them do the things that they normally would do. I think we saw in the City game when we did counter attacks and we're passing backwards when we do a counter attack. We're slowing the ball game down and then passing back. And you just know that's not Liverpool. Liverpool, it's one-touch football, combinations, don't get in the box. We're not counter-attacking and then turning back and passing the back to the keeper. And that's just a lack of confidence. I don't know what it is. I do know why Klopp as well. Against Leicester, West Ham, we played a 4-4-2 diamond. I don't understand why he deviated from that. But that was a good formation. We destroyed West Ham. Then Leicester, City, he went 4-4-3. I don't understand that. I think as well, like Klopp at times overthought it and went a bit safe rather than taking a bit more risks. But I think also the injuries, lack of confidence hasn't helped. And I think I saw someone saying a stat today they were saying that how, which surprised me. They said that actually Mane, from a defensive point, has actually been the worst out of the front three from defensive. When you think about, they showed stats that actually he's in terms of defensive and output, he's been the worst out of all the front three this year. And I was surprised when they showed the statistics because they showed that Salah has been actually better defensively than Mane.
Really?
Even though Mane tracks back, they showed it actually in terms of tackles, but Salah's been actually better. So I think Mane's been struggling this year, big time. So we need someone to get some form.
Sophie, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. Like you said before, then like Klopp's playing it a bit, like overthinking it, playing it safe. Now knowing what we know, I can understand why. Like all those weeks we sit there and go, why is he playing? Like, you know, the diamond's really worse. Why is he playing 4-3-3? Why is he doing this? Why is he doing that? And now I don't know. I don't know whether it's from like the empathy side, but I can see why he's going back to a tried and tested system that he knows works and is just trying to make do with what he's got. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know where he's going to get this like from. Like Mane's been struggling, but I think Mane's been struggling because Robbo's been struggling. Because Robbo has played so many games. And so often when we watch those lads play, Mane will take the ball up, lay it off to Robbo, who sprinted past him, and then Mane will cut in from the corner. And that's the pivot they play all the time. And Robbo's not doing that part recently. And but take it right the way back to the end of last season. Last season was extended. They had a 2-week break, and then they had pre-season. They didn't have a full pre-season, and then they were back into the league. You know, the league started 4 weeks later, but it also ended 6 weeks later than what it originally had. These players have had no break. Then they've gone to Euros. You know, they've been injured. It's been a hard season. They've actually had to battle with COVID, some of them themselves, and morale's gonna be low. But I'm not a manager. I don't know where he's gonna pluck this mentality, this courage from. I just hope that he finds it and can do something for the lads. But I genuinely don't know what the answer would be.
Someone who's been somewhat of a spark, in my opinion, has been Curtis Jones, and Chris Welch was wondering why he was brought off in that City game. But I mean, that guy's an absolute stud. I think he has a bright future, obviously. And I mean, would you include him in this game against Leicester?
Yeah, I would because I think obviously. Wait.
Would you rest Gini or Thiago? Play Curtis Jones along with Henderson.
Thiago.
Or Fabinho.
Thiago.
Yeah, I probably would have to rest Thiago.
Thiago, put Jones on, let Jones assist Salah. I'd be happy. Like, I like Jones. I like him a lot. And Thiago, like we said before, Thiago looks tired. He looks worn out, bless him. And Gini's just a workhorse. Like, we know I love Gini. But, I think if we play Gini and rest Thiago, Gini would give us everything. He would give us absolutely everything that entire game. But if you rested Gini and put Thiago in and Jones in, someone who's new to the club, someone who's a baby, in an already patched up midfield, no, I think if you're not playing Hendo in that midfield, you need Gini in there. It's as simple as that. You need someone there. Like we were saying earlier about the back line, you need a captain, you need a voice, you need somebody to control it. You need someone to control that midfield. And yes, normally it's Hendo, and yes, Gini's not Hendo, and he's never going to be him. But if you gave me the option, who's more vocal? Who's more of a supporting line in that midfield, Gini or Hendo? Gini or Thiago, sorry. I'm going to rest Thiago.
Yeah.
Plays well from before, play again.
So what's your formation in this game? What do you guys go with overall at every position?
I kind of want to see the diamond again.
You want to see the diamond?
I liked it. I think it worked, and it it throws other teams out of whack because they're so used to seeing us in that 4-3-3. They're so used to that same formation, the high back line, the press, the full backs bombing up the wings, making a short narrow tunnel. They're used to that now. I've said it last time I was on here as well. It's a tried and tested, and it's not surprising anybody anymore. They go, oh yeah, same old Liverpool. You put us in that diamond, you throw Shaq on, it's like, oh, hang on a minute, what the fuck's going on here? It's something different. It might not work. It might not. It might work, but you can always change your formation mid-game. After half-time, you can always sit there and go, right, let's go back to 4-3-3. Like, you can always do that, but I think, like I said before, what have we got to lose? Go for the diamond, see what happens, and if it doesn't work, change it. What can we do?
I was thinking 4-3-1.
4-2-3-1?
Yeah.
No.
There we go.
No. We do not work well with two midfielders. We get absolutely ripped apart when we play two midfielders. It's no.
Has it worked?
No, it doesn't work.
Just kind of think of games when you've done that, it's worked.
Well, Chris Welch said that his lineup is Allison, Trent, Kabak, Phillips, Robertson, Fabinho, Henderson, Jones, Firmino, Salah, Mane, diamond formation. So he has Firmino playing as the 10 there. But he has Fabinho and Henderson in the midfield.
Yeah, I'd agree. Look, I'd rest Thiago for Leipzig, to be honest, in this game. I was looking at the team last time we beat Leicester 3-0. We had Gini, Keita, and Jones in midfield. So I would start Jones. Sunny outside one.
That's good, JG. That's good.
I feel like it's taken us 46 minutes to really disagree with homie. It's back to normal.
That's a new record. That's a new record.
And normally within the first 15 minutes, I told him to shut up, that he's wrong, and he's like Genie, so we're doing well.
I think it's a good shout to rest Thiago for this game and wait for Leipzig.
Yeah, I think he'll do Hendo, Gini, and Jones midfield. He'll start that on the weekend. And
that means you're putting Kabak and Fabinho.
Yeah, I reckon that's. I would.
That's what
you think Klopp's going to do.
Tactics now.
That's what you think Klopp's going to do, right?
That's what Klopp's going to do. It's not what I want to do.
Yeah.
What I want to do, I'd have Kabak and Phillips, but I think Klopp will do Fabinho, Kabak, Hendo, Gini, Jones midfield.
I agree.
And then he will do the usual Trent, Robbo, Alisson, and Salah, Mane, and Firmino up top, and that's how he'll do it.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's not what I would. It's just personally, it's not what I'd want, but it's what he would do.
Don't care what you want.
So, yeah, hopefully it works. But I'd want, obviously. I'm always tempted. Look, I'm always tempted, like in that game, I'd like to see Gini, for us to try Gini in advanced role as a mixture, because I think I know he won't.
Never gonna do that.
I know he's so good for Holland at that.
But it doesn't. I'm just gonna shut up now. I'm gonna get myself banned from this podcast forever if I don't stop. I swear. He's never played Gini in that forward role. Gini's been with us, what, 6 years? Something like that, give or take a year or two. Like, he's never played that advanced role for Liverpool, ever. And you've got more chance of me putting a fucking United shirt on than you'd have gotten Klopp playing Gini in a forward role. And that's never going to happen.
And that's slim.
That's not slim. That's fucking impossible. It would never happen. And no.
Well, then at least
even talking about it is futile. Like, it's not going to happen. It's not going to work.
Then at least tell Jones to get in the box. At least tell Jones, Gini and Hendo, they're covering you. Get in the box. Make runs in the box. That's your job. You don't have to play as deep. Your job is just to get in the box, support the strikers, get in and score goals. We've got. You're a very good attacking player. That's your job. It's not to be as deep as the other two. 'Cause I think that's where we struggled. The fact that we don't have any midfield runners a lot of the times. It's only a few times when Jones has done it, You've looked really good. Let him do that more. Tell him, look, you have to drop his D as much. Just support the strikers.
He hasn't been given the liberty to do that though. When Jones has played, apart from when he came on and assisted Salah, which was incredible, he hasn't been given the option to do that because there's been no Henzo in midfield. There's been no Fabinho in midfield. It's been a makeshift midfield to cover and makeshift defence, and he can't go on these runs. He can't run up and support the attacking players. He can't do that. If he does that, the gap in that midfield, they just run right through it. And that's the problem. And that's where you decide between the rock and a hard place. Are you going to let Jones run up where we know he can make these fantastic runs and he can have these wonderful assists or free kicks? Do we let Jones do that in the hope that it'll work and pay off? Or equally, do we take the risk that if we let Jones do that, we'll concede?
Well, that's the big thing. That's the big thing for me, though, is that I think Virgil's presence or lack of presence goes beyond just the defense. I think that we haven't seen the midfield this season take nearly as much risk as they usually would have. You're not seeing Henderson, if he was playing in the 8, or I guess Thiago in this situation, making late runs into the box, or Gini making late runs into the box, or finding space up front. You're not seeing that at all this season. That's because there's no Virgil van Dijk back there. There's no trust in our defense. Or even in the 6 role, like Gini Wijnaldum's being thrown in there, Henderson's being thrown in there. There's just constantly a makeshift midfield, like Sophie just said. So I think that's the huge issue. I think it all actually does come down to Virgil van Dijk.
I love Virgil, and do you know what? When everybody always said before Virgil got injured, "Oh, Liverpool are one Virgil van Dijk injury away from a crisis," and then when he had his injury, we're kind of like, "Oh, okay, we've bounced back. We're doing all right." And I think the longer it's gone on, the more evident, like you've just said then, and it's more obvious that he goes beyond being a good centre-back. He's the glue in that team, and he makes everything tick like clockwork. And when he's not there, my God, do you miss him? And I remember saying, probably one of the first podcasts I did with you after Virgil's injury, I was like, "Oh, I'm not missing him as much as I thought I was." Yeah, I am now. You know what? This is how sad it is when he posts on Instagram, his fitness updates. I'm like, "How's that knee?" I'm genuinely looking for the scar, and I'm like, "Is he wearing a band? Is he wearing a brace? Is he wearing this? Is he doing that?" Yeah. I am obsessed with hoping he's back.
Well, do you guys think that Gini's contract situation has anything to do with form or morale?
No. I'm sorry, but Gini's not that player. He's not Emre Can. He might be running his contract down to the last minute. He might be wanting to leave on a free, and if he does that, then that's what he does. But the way he's going about it is completely different. He's not pushing for a leave. He wants to stay. He's just not being given the terms he wants. It's his last big contract. I can understand.
The terms are ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. But what can you do about it? You can sit here and say, "Oh, till you're blue in the face, it's getting ridiculous." But that's between Klopp, the club, and Gini. That's whatever's going on in negotiations is going on in negotiations. But I think after everything Gini's been for us, he has never faltered. He has never gone against our club, ever.
Yeah.
If he's made a mistake, he's held his hands up to it. He's always been, "Let's go again." And I honestly, the person that Gini. Well, I don't know him personally. Obviously, I'm not best mates with Gini Wijnaldum. I'd love that, but I'm not.
You did. You wish you did.
I wish if I was. Yeah, I would. But the type of person that he portrays himself as, and the way he comes across, it's like he doesn't have that mentality in him to be spiteful and to go, "Well, you're not giving me a contract. I'm not going to do that." No, this club's given him the best career, and this club has given him a Premier League title, a Champions League final, and a Champions League win.
Yep.
And he was there from the ground up with Klopp. He came from nothing, and we've made him into something. And I don't think he was ever, use that against us. So I think to say it's got anything to do with his formal morale because of the contract situation is quite childish. Not that I'm saying Jay's childish. I'm just meaning the idea, the concept. He's not a petulant child spitting his dummy out the pan. Is he? He's a 29-year-old grown-ass man. He wants a final contract before he retires. He wants more money. That's the way the world works. But to let it impact your professional performance, I just think he's not that type of person.
But I actually kind of agree with him. I mean, he's been getting paid £75,000 a week for how long now? 4 years, 4 or 5 years, which is just ridiculous for a player of his stature now. I mean, he should have had his contract redone and extended probably 2 to 3 years ago. He's been that big of an impact for us. I mean, well, homie, what do you think?
Yeah, my homie, what do you think?
I don't think it's going to impact our players in terms of him running down his contract. You know, like, he's not causing a fuss in the dressing room. He's still obviously part of the leadership, and you know, so I don't think that we can use that as an excuse to say that that's affecting the rest of the players. I think it's just the case of the injuries haven't helped, but I think just overall our play hasn't been good enough since we won the league title. You know, since we came back from that lockdown, we just haven't been overall good enough. And I think some of the players should be doing better and just aren't playing to the usual standard. And obviously, the injuries have affected our style of play and caused us to alter how we play, which hasn't helped. And obviously the season. So it's just been a combination of things that just, you know, kicked us down further.
I knew you were going to pick that up.
Had to.
I saw it coming. My dad's going to come on the fucking screen in a second, bastard. Oh, Chris, I liked you until about 5 seconds ago, mate.
Chris loves my homie.
So I agree with Chris. We do need to create midfielder.
Of course you do.
I do. We need to create midfielder. I said it countless times. But I just feel like this has been a combination of things, and I think I don't know what it is we're going to be able to do to kickstart it. But I don't think Ginny's contract situation has affected it, luckily. And he's always going to be continuing to be a top pro till the day he does, like the season ends and he leaves. And he'll give it 100% as he always has been doing. And I just think like certain players just need to, you know, start up in the performance really somehow, however they need to do it, get the confidence back. You know, just know that, you know, there's still a lot to fight for. Yeah, the league's gone, but we've still got top 4 in the Champions League to fight for. You know, that should be spurring you on to say, look, it's still possible to get to a Champions League final, and we're still a dark horse team. You know, no one wants to face us. So, you know, but I do feel that, you know, we've just been unfortunate as well with injuries, like certain injury players that, you know, you would bring on, an Ox, a Cade, haven't been there, or when they have been there, they've not really done that much. So, yeah, it's a combination of things.
Let me ask you guys this. If we're looking back on this season and Liverpool get top 4, you know, have a decent run in the Champions League, but we don't win the title, would you call that this season a success?
Yeah.
So we get what?
If you look back in the future, when we're looking back on this season and we make top 4 and we have a decent run in the Champions League, maybe get to the quarterfinals, semifinals, would you name this season as a success with the amount of injuries that we've had, the up and down in form, the type of season it is because of COVID? You know, what do you think? Well, Sophie said yes, it is a success.
Yeah. Come on. When have we had a season like this? Since the league began. When have we had a pandemic completely take fans out of the stadiums? Completely postpone a league? To have other leagues around the world absolutely just cancelled and voided? To have Champions League games rearranged into safer countries because of travel restrictions? When has that happened?
Never.
There is so much stress and pressure on the footballing world at the minute, and it's bound to have a drip down effect. It's bound to have a knock-on effect on the players, the mentality, that they're worried for their own families. They've got their own personal issues going on as well. It's not just football. They're not just a player that comes on the pitch, puts on a shirt and kicks a ball. They're people. We're missing our family. They're missing theirs. Look at Klopp. He can't go to his own mum's funeral, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
How can you say for 1 second that this is not impacting the season? So you're damn right. If we don't get the Premier League, fine. If we go through to the Champions League and we qualify, fine. If we don't win the Champions League this year, but we make it a good run through, I don't give a shit at this point. I could not give a flying fuck. I'm sorry, but this season is just so bizarre. The lads will do what they can do. And if anybody sits and goes, well, Liverpool's failed, no. I defy you to put, when have the reigning champions ever had to go and play games without their fans singing Champione at them? Standing outside for the bus. Where are the red flares? Where are the flags? Where are the lads sitting on the gates outside Anfield? Where the fuck is all of that? Exactly, it's not happening. So we get top 4, I'm happy. Don't care whether we come 2nd, 3rd or 4th. I just couldn't give a shit.
Well, homie, good luck following that up.
You can tell I'm the Scouser, can't you?
I'm going to sort of kind of disagree in the sense that...
Oh, what a fucking surprise!
In the sense that, yes, I get everything we're saying, but at the same time, I think other clubs like Man City have no fans in the stadium.
They
United
never have any
don't.
fans in the fucking stadium. It's the reason it's called the Etihad.
United don't. And they're not having the same issues as we are. And I think, like I said, one side, I get the injuries have played a major factor. Yes, I get certain fans not being there has played a major factor, but we still won games away from home with no fans. So it's not really much a difference when you have fans or no home away this season. And overall, we just haven't been good enough. Like even when we won the league title, there was games where we weren't good enough. Even when Virgil and Gomez were there, we still got beat 4-0 by City.
7-2.
There were games where we weren't good enough, even when Virgil and Gomez were there, and the slide was there. The alarms were there in the Villa game, So where Virgil and Gomez both played, we weren't good enough. So I just think overall, when you look about it, we've dropped 5 points to Brighton, and the teams we put out against Brighton should have beaten them home and away, regardless of the injuries. We weren't good enough in that game. We weren't good enough against Fulham. We're not good enough against Newcastle, Southampton. The teams we put out should have won that game. So I think while the injuries have played a factor, some of the forms just haven't been good enough, from certain players. So, and it just corresponded that, people just had, drop in form, or they've not done enough. So do I feel that if we don't...
Go on, say it.
Where we are right now, getting top 4 because we could end up in Europa League would be an acceptable season from where we are right now. But overall, because we could be Europa League, we could be Thursday football. If we lose to Leicester, and then we could end up playing Thursday night football.
I'm gonna slap you. I'm gonna fucking slap you in a minute.
But we should. I say this: for it to be, that's an acceptable season to get top 4. A good season, really, for me, is getting to the Champions League final. Good season. Get top 4 and Champions League final. Minimum. Not saying you have to win it, but get to the Champions League final. Acceptable season, I'd say about is getting top 4 from where we are right now. Good season is we get to the Champions League final.
I think that's a great season to get to the Champions League final. I mean, I think a good season would be getting to, with the amount of injuries that we've had and where we are right now, I think it would be a good season to get into the semifinal of the Champions League and get top 4. That's a good season for Liverpool. That's a good season for any team, even after they just won the title. Go ahead, Sophie.
No, I'm just nodding and agreeing with you.
I disagree. Semi-final. I think
you need to shut up now.
We got to the Champions League final. We got to the Champions League final in 2005, losing 14 games in the league. Our season in 2005 was much more worse. It
wasn't pandemic.
Yeah, but forget the pandemic. Pandemic aside, our season in 2005.
You can't put the pandemic aside. You can't just put it in a nice little box and there you go away. You can't do that. You can't.
I get the pandemic, but I'm just saying, like,
it's a massive impact.
To a certain degree,
Okay. Let's take the pandemic completely off the table. It's just a bit of a shitty season with loads of injuries for Liverpool. Yes, I would 100% be behind you, Rahimi, saying that it would not be acceptable for Liverpool to get anything less than the Champions League final after the run of form we've had over 3 years. Would 100% be supporting you. But let's take that little thing back out the box. What? You can't. You can't take it out. No! Oh, you're driving me insane.
Well, JG from the chat just said how we play against the lower teams. It needs to be addressed. That's been a big issue under Klopp. That's one of the few biggest criticisms I have for that guy. Yeah, I mean, that sums it up perfectly. That's why I think this game against Leicester is a very winnable game. I think that clearly it's going to have some repercussions in the table. We need this game to not seal top 4, but to keep competing for top 4. But let's get to the last 2 questions here. What do you guys think is the key to beating Leicester in this game? Is it Mo Salah, Trent, Robertson? Who is it?
Jones and Salah.
I think the key is going to be Alisson, because he's going to get tested. If he's mentally right, then he's going to be key. If he's still, he's normally bounced back, but if he's still got any scars from the City game into this game, then that's going to be
Alisson will have beat himself up royally over that game. He will have he'll have blamed himself completely and utterly for that. He'll have taken that on personally. But I just think it's not Alisson. He's not the problem. He had one bad piece of form, one bad game, and now all of a sudden everyone's going, Alisson needs to do better. No shit show, but the others are the 10 players in front of him who should have done fucking better as well. I know his mistakes were way with passes, but those 10 other players on that pitch have to do fucking better too. It's not Alisson. There are 10 players outfield meant to be doing their job, and they're not fucking doing their job right now. So for me, the key to beating Leicester is to just attack them. Just fucking go for it. Because what have we got to lose at the end of the day? What have you got to lose? Go for it, attack them, and get Jones on and get Salah, because their link up, they work really well. They have both got very similar chemistries and very similar playing styles. So for me, they're the key. If you can unlock Jones and Salah, I don't see an issue there. I really don't. I don't think if we can get goals in the back of the net and we can be clinical in the final third, I don't see why Leicester would really test us, apart from a little breakthrough from Vardy, which if our defence is solidified enough with it either being Kabak and Fabinho or whatever form he does, they're enough to challenge Vardy. He's not that special. That's why he plays for Leicester. He's not that good.
I don't know. I think.
Go ahead, Mohammed.
I think it's the front 3 need to do more, because I don't think they've been good enough, to be honest. Even the City game, so with the penalty, Mane missed a sitter. Let's be honest. They need to up their game. Like, Bobby wasn't that great against City. Except for the penalty Salah scored, he wasn't that great. So they need to up their game if we're going to get out of this Leicester game. Because we need more from them. We need to. As it's been the season all season, we need them to start taking chances regularly on a regular basis, not missing sitters, because there was nothing Trent could have done more with that ball to Mane where he should have scored the header. So, and we just need them. We need one of them, at least 2 of them, just to turn up and say, "Look, I'm on it today. And I'm gonna take my chances, because we're not going to get chances. We're going to get chances against Leicester." And it's just, can we take them? That's the thing. Who's gonna stand up and be counted? And I just hope that we don't revert back to cross and hope for the best football. That's the one thing.
So frustrating. JG just said, "Don't be scared to get forward and finish the chances created." That's what it is for me. I think that's what we've been lacking this season. Is that the midfield just hasn't taken any chances. Salah and Mane, they seem scared to go one-on-one with an opposing defender. I want to see them going one-on-one with those guys. Let Curtis Jones start this game. He has that swagger about him. He's the only one who walked away from the City game, in my opinion, with some real clout. But I think this is a big one for Bobby. I think that Leicester's weakness, are their 2 center backs. I don't think they're as good as the rest of their team. So I think if Bobby has a good game, he can drag them out of position. Hopefully that releases Salah and Mane, and he just needs to link up the team. When Bobby plays well, we play well. So I think this is a big game for Bobby.
I'm getting to the end of I'm getting on the last of my nerves with Bobby. I don't know how much more I can defend him. I don't know how much longer I can say he's not a goal scorer. He's the glue in the team, and he does this and his passing. His control of the ball has been woeful. He's been dispossessed so many times the last few games, and I've never seen Bobby be like that before, and I just don't know how much longer.
To be fair, though, I think Bobby has played a lot of football. I mean, all the front 3 have, but I think that and I said this a few weeks ago, I think that his days of, playing 90 minutes and starting every match are long gone once Jota comes back. I think once Jota comes back, maybe we sign somebody in the summer. Bobby's a rotational guy. He starts some games, plays 60 minutes, and then he'll sit the bench the next game and play 30 minutes. That's just what's going to happen.
I just want Jota back. I just want Jota back.
Yeah, we all do. We all do.
But to be fair, I saw it was Chris earlier, and I was fuming when I saw it. Don't know where it's gone now. But he says about the Michelin game, playing Jota in a dead rubber. And I'm just like, we bought Jota. I don't know how he says it. We bought him for that reason. That is why we bought him. Did we expect him to be as good as he was? No. But I just can't wait for Jota to come back. And honestly, I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for saying this, but I hope when he comes back, Bobby gets fucked off. Honest to God, I hope Bobby gets benched. I hope to God he puts Bobby on the bench and goes, no, sit there, think about what you're doing. Because until you can play the level of football, until you can play that level of football that we know you can play, you sit there and think about what you did. You go on that fucking naughty step. Go on that naughty step and get Jota in there because he's younger, he's quicker, he's faster, and he's hungry. He's going to want to cement his place in that starting lineup, and Bobby's going to have to fight for it. So
that's what he needs.
Piss off. I'm sick of defending him. I'm sick of defending Bobby. I'm done with it.
You could say that about the entire front three this season, though.
See, I really think
had a poor season. Manny's been very poor. What's that?
I think Salah's doing a really good job.
Salah's been great, but Salah's been scoring goals, but he hasn't looked like the Salah we've seen for the past 3 years.
That's because he's been tracking back a lot. You said it before at the start. Salah has been doing more defensive work this season than we've ever seen him done before. He will sprint down that entire pitch to defend with Trent, to help Trent out, because there's no hands out there on the right with him.
I think it's also because Trent hasn't been as good.
Shush! No, go on.
I was just going to say, I think it's because Trent hasn't been as good either. Similar to what you said about Robertson.
Yeah. Salah, if he didn't have to track back as much as he is tracking back, I just don't think there'd be as much disconnect between that front three. I think Salah would be the Salah that, the first 2 seasons, 18, 19, we'd see that Salah again. You've got to take into account the other aspects of the game. You can't just look at these players in this season and go, he's an attacking player, let's look at him as an attacking player. Look at what other impact he has to have on that pitch at the minute. Look at where he has to run. If you watch a heat map of Salah through the last game in City, he was running back constantly to help out with defence, and that's not his job. That's not his role, and he still had to do that. And for someone who's played as much football as Salah has done, and is still scoring goals, is still hungry, is still making it, and you can call him fucking greedy, I don't care. If your goal scorer is not greedy, I don't give a shit, get them out.
Agreed.
I don't think Salah's the issue. For me, it's Mane, and it's definitely fucking Bobby.
Anything to add, Mahoney?
I think also that I would say that forward line are having to pick up the ball much deeper. So that obviously, normally they're playing high up the pitch. They're having to pick up the ball and run with the ball much deeper. And that plays obviously a massive part. So by the time they get to the box, they're tired. I don't know. I just want to win, to be honest, and just somehow to get some kind of confidence going.
Let's get some predictions for this game, and we'll end it there. What do you guys think, Sophie? Let's start with you.
I said it before that we were 2-1 FC, and I just think this game's got 2-1 written all over it, like a scrappy little goal at the end. I honestly reckon we'll bang one in at the start. We'll start off strong, and then Leicester will retaliate quite quickly, and it'll knock us. And I think it'll take us a good 30 minutes, 40 minutes to recuperate from it. I reckon within the first 20 minutes or so, there'll be 2 goals, 1 for each. Second half, I think 80th minute, we'll get 1 in. And we'll just nip it, and then we'll just sit back and keep defend them off. But I think they're going to really bring the game to us tomorrow. But I'm going 2-1.
I'm going to go. Well, homie, we'll end with you. I'm going to go with 2-0. I think Kabak's going to come in, and I think he's going to be the player that we're looking for. I know it's just a loan, but option to buy. He's going to want to play his ass off. He wants to leave the Bundesliga and play for Klopp. So I think they're going to keep a clean sheet against Vardy and Leicester. I think that Salah gets a goal, and I think that Mane gets a goal.
Don't think too hard, honey.
Oh, he's thinking. He's thinking.
I know. I can see the steam and the cogs working.
The gears are moving.
They're moving slowly, but they're moving. Fuck me, they're moving.
I think I'm gonna be I'm gonna 1-1. I just feel that with our foot. I said we beat City and I was wrong. I think
We play well away from home.
we do, but I think Leicester, with our form to win, lacking confidence, I just don't see us getting 2 goals in that way. I'd love it if we did, but I think it'd either be a 1-0 or 1-1. I'm torn between those two. I think if it's 1-0, we'll win it, but it could be 1-1. I think it'll end up being like how the first half against City, where it ends up 0-0, and it's just shite first half.
Yeah. Shite first half.
Is the game Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday, early morning kickoff, 12:30.
Yeah, 7:30 in the morning here.
Ah, shame.
I like waking up early.
I
Good.
don't.
But let's end it there, guys. For those in the chat, thank you for joining us. You guys were on fire today. Sophie, thanks again for always joining us. This is such a
Thanks
great
for letting me
guest
argue
that we have.
with you.
It was fun seeing you guys get along for a little while.
Only a little bit. Doesn't happen very often.
Every once in a while, I'll mix things up. But hey, if you haven't hit that like or subscribe button, please do that down below. And we'll see you guys on Saturday after the game. Actually, no, I'm sorry. We'll see you guys Friday for Friday's last word.
Yeah, Friday's last word.
All right. See you later, guys.
See ya.